expected of them. The complete set is now in place. We have the Senate President and his deputy, and, you know, the particular configuration of that. There was a lot of concern about this whole business, this faith ticket thing, and the presidential, you know, ticket being what it was, is still a same faith ticket. It was felt that, look, we got to do something when it comes to the National Assembly, and indeed, in that sense, Senator Akpabio, who is the new Senate President, he just fits that bill. We talk about this, what is expected of them, the task ahead, and how well placed they are for the task, because there have been, I won't say concerns, but there have been commentaries that, look, is it going to be business as usual, or are these legislators in both houses, are they going to really, well, Nigeria is their first constituency, but at the same time, those that come from their very constituencies know where the shoe pinches and have elected them and sent them to the National Assembly to look out for them. Okay, things are very, very tough in Nigeria today, as you know. There's the removal of the fuel subsidy. We just got a warning this morning. I'm sure you've seen the papers. Electricity charges are about to go up come July 1st as well. In fact, there was some talk about, you know, combined running of households now is going to be in the region of something like 70%. 70% of household expenses will now be going on electricity if all of this comes on stream, which actually it's going to, because the idea is to take out subsidy altogether and let's begin to live a realistic life. We've been on easy street for quite a while, and now we have to do the needful. So the National Assembly is going to be there, going to be watching out for us. And I have as a guest this morning a former member of the House of Representatives who is, you know, quite conversant with the way lawmaking goes and the whole supervisory function, regulatory aspect of the honorables and distinguished senators. And I'm talking in this context about Honorable Kehinde Odeneye. Honorable Odeneye is a former member of the House of Representatives. As I said, a fine morning to you, Honorable.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you for making time for us. So,
yeah, it's my pleasure.
Indeed. The very important arm of government, the legislature, is now in place. And, you know, when I say very important, it's because that's where, in a sort of a sense, you could say that's where power lies. And people look towards a harmonious relationship with between the executive and the legislature. However, whereas people want a harmonious relationship, people will also frown at what they think of as a rubber stamp kind of legislature. So it looks like there are these countering forces. Now, why people might be concerned is that the presidency, the executive, the presidency, the party, and the president were quite influential in deciding who the heads of the two houses shall be. And so there are some concerns, and I want to take your opinion on this, that, look, these people necessarily have to be appreciative, never mind gratefulness or not, have to be appreciative of the role that was played by way of influence in their emergence. Can these people then do, can they make hard calls if such calls need to be made, which might be what their constituents would expect of them? What would be your sort of thoughts on that particular question, Honorable Odeneye?
Yeah, once again, thank you, Uncle Yori. Let me quickly congratulate the Senate President and his deputy, Senator Akpabio and Senator Barau, and also my very good friend, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas and Honorable Kalu, for their emergence as the leaders of the two arms of the National Assembly. Yeah, I understand your concern and the concern of several other people out there about the influence of the presidency on the selection and election of the leadership of the National Assembly. Let me quickly say this. In every democratic setting, I don't think there is anywhere the presidency will fold his arms and allow I won't say just anybody, but that will allow an opposition to be the one to determine the leadership of the House. But let me also say this, that as far as 10th Assembly is concerned, regardless of the influence or the connection of the party and the presidency, you will look at, if you look at it from this angle, that the election of the Senate president and the deputy was keenly contested by two very good personalities from the party, from APC. That's Senator Akpabio and Senator YORI of Zamfara State. And the two of them, one, they've been former governors and now senators. Akpabio was a senator some time ago and now a senator again. So you will see that if you're talking about influence, you will realize that that influence did not make too much difference because that election was keenly contested. And do not also forget that other political parties are also in the Senate. Some of them voted for YORI, some of them voted for Akpabio, regardless of their political differences. Even APC members voted for YORI, while some voted for Akpabio, and the same way it happens to other political parties. In the House of Rep, for the first time in the history of House of Representatives, you will see a situation where out of 359, they were not up to 360 on that day because one is late already. So out of 359, we have 353 voting for Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. That goes a long way to let you know that that particular event was beyond the influence of either the party as APC and the presidency. Although I would tend to agree with you that the president also, for the first time in the history of democratic setting in Nigeria, had to call both the opposition and his party members for a meeting where he laid down his programs. The essence of the presidency coming into days is not because maybe an opposition was going to take over, not that, but to set out his program and to say that, yes, we must work together as executive and legislators. Let me quickly say this again, that I said earlier that there's no way the presidency or the party will fold its arms and allow anything to happen contrary to what they would have expected to happen, because both the executive and legislator must work hand in hand, not to the extent that the legislator, as some people will view it, will be a rubber stamp, but to the extent that there will be understanding and the legislator will come on board to know the programs, and the vision of the presidency and be able to key into it, because where there is a problem between these two arms, it is Nigerians that will suffer for it. So, and because the president, is somebody that is really fully prepared for governance and wants to deliver to Nigerians a very good dividend of democracy, he has to call for a meeting with both chambers and lay down his programs and visions for making a better Nigeria known to them and calling them that we should be able to work together. So I do not exercise any fear, and therefore whoever is thinking that this National Assembly will be a rubber stamp, I want to assure that this is not going to be, but they will work together for the betterment of Nigerians.
Well, thank you, Honorable Odeneye, and for emphasizing on that point, because it's not just in Nigeria. It is an issue that people sort of evaluate how vibrant a National Assembly do they have. When I say vibrant, again, that could be taken different ways. But at the end of the day, as you said, the presidency, the president needs to, have a kind of relationship that would be supportive of his vision. But then we're very lucky in this country in that President Tinubu is a known diplomat. He knows the limits of power. He knows how to be a democrat and not exceed the limits of power. So all of that is sort of taken for granted, I hope. But at the same time, it's a genuine concern that will people, because of their attitudes in these regards we're talking about, some of them over there, will they, now veer when they don't need to veer? I recall, let me tell you, let me just remind you about, I'm sure you know already, the Mandela example, where upon winning the election all that time ago, back in the day, Madiba was heard to observe that, he was so happy that he didn't win by such a majority that he didn't need the opposition. That, thank God. So we shall have an interesting situation. Are there any likenesses between that and this, where I just finished speaking about President Tinubu and his credentials in democracy? A lot of National Assembly members also have high credentials in democracy. So this whole area, what are your thoughts in that regard? Because we still have to work with opposition parties.
Yeah, I quite appreciate your question. If you look at the stance and the posture of the president, as you rightly put it, he is a Democrat. And a Democrat is someone that values the importance of an opposition. Because, you see, when you're just alone, there are times you do not even know the feelings out there, because you just have a vision, you want to let that vision come true, and you just have your own people alone. But where you have the opposition will always put you on your feet at every point in time. Meanwhile, if you look at the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you realize that the opposition also played a very good role in his emergence. Not even the G5 alone, but right from beginning of the election process, the opposition, let me quickly say this, that even the opposition determined the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. One, if Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, had not moved from PDP and he had remained probably to be the vice presidential candidate, maybe there would have been an issue. The election might have not gone the way it went, but as God will have it, he moved. So that is opposition one. Again, as God will have it again, the G5 issue came on board, and you will see the role that the G5 played along with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is to let you know that even right from beginning, before his emergence, he has started playing the politics with the opposition, knowing fully well the importance of opposition. So, but having said that, and giving it to him as a Democrat, a complete one for that matter, you see that I foresee a situation whereby President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to work hand in hand with opposition. He said something, and he said, and I will quote him, he said, "Do not pity me from this day." That was on May 29. I applied for this job, and I know right from the beginning what the job entails. And what that job entails, what I think it means, or it meant, at that time he was making that statement, is knowing fully well that there is a battle ahead. This battle includes that of opposition, and he is ready for the battle. And if you look at the way Bola Ahmed Tinubu started the whole the whole thing, you will realize that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fully ready for governance.
Okay.
And that is why, on a daily basis, in the last few days that he has become the president, we are briefed we are given an update of his activities. And all these activities, I don't think anybody in Nigeria has spotted anyone, even including the opposition. Everybody, including the opposition, has applauded him for all the steps he has taken so far. And that shows clearly that Bola Ahmed Tinubu realizes the importance of opposition and is going to work together with everybody for the betterment of Nigeria.
Okay. Now, Honorable, let me bring on our viewer, the first caller this morning, Mr. George, calling in from Lagos. Fine morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, the title of the discussion this morning is not going to be business as usual. I thank you for bringing it up. Now, there has been some things that are of concern to some of us, which previous NAS failed to address, such as increasing budget estimates. The executive will bring a budget. Instead of scrutinizing the budget to realign it or to, make it viable, the National Assembly will increase it. Not only just increasing, they will increase the one that is dedicated to NAS, to National Assembly. Year in, year out, that is what they do. There's also this what I want to call paddy oversight attitude. Over the years, we have not seen where the oversight committees in the National Assembly has pointed out serious infractions by any MDA. Doesn't mean that they are all doing well, and yet we know that budgetary provisions that have been made in previous years is what they keep bringing forward as if it is every year they buy computers and all the rest. Is it going to be like that again? And we are also aware, Uncle Yori, of these dubious constituency projects. In the first place, constituency project is not in our constitution. They have more or less entrenched it. But even then, taking for granted that it has become a norm, do they even have these constituency projects? What is the guarantee that the money being, earmarked for these projects actually go to the projects? You look at the constituency where you live, for example, and ask your representative, where is the constituency project that you have in our constituency? In the place I live, I don't see any. So I would be glad, Uncle Yori, if you could bring the spokespeople of both House of Reps and Senate to this program one day. Let them tell us
Indeed.
how it is not going to be business as usual.
All right, then.
It's very important.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. And, before your request, we have with us here an honorable member, past honorable member, so we can actually tap into his experience there. You heard the presentation of Mr. George. I don't know the order in which you want to take them, but this constituency, taking the last point he made first, the constituency project, it's how do I put it? It seems like a mysterious heading. People don't know anything about it, apart from the honorable member himself. So what's going on there? You might want to start from there.
I appreciate the submission of the last speaker. And let me also say this, that yes, Nigerians are getting to be more aware of the activities of the National Assembly, but I think the civil society organizations need to do more, and also the National Assembly spokesperson also need to do more in enlightening Nigerians of the activities of the National Assembly. Let me say this, the constituency projects, one, there's always this misconception that monies are given to National Assembly members. No, I am saying no, because no money is given to any National Assembly member for constituency project purposes. Rather, there are provisions made in the national budget for various constituencies to have projects that will have been suggested by the members and senators representing the various constituencies and senatorial districts. These National Assembly members do not have any role played in the processing of the project or the implementation of the project more than
Okay, it temporarily hung there. We'll get it back as soon as possible. But in the meantime, good morning to you, Mr. Mohammed, calling in from Abuja.
Good morning, Uncle Doris.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, long time. I totally agree with the speaker, to our guest. I greet him, and since Buhari came in, there is no provision for National Assembly members to collect money from government for their constituency project. Rather, they put the money into their budget, and the ministry now do the job for them, not that, except, and then don't forget, the president we have now is a politician. He knows all those tricks and whatever. I think he will continue with the current situation that is going on. Because if you give them the money to do the work by themselves, I don't think the project will be done correctly. There will be shady this in the project. So I think I prepare, and then I support this way of appropriating the budget, the money of the project into the budget, and then they now just asking to tell the ministry where one social project to be done. And then the ministry will now go there and do the work. It's only just to supervise it. I think that is the only thing that Nigeria will now feel the impact of their representative in the National Assembly. I think. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, calling in from Abuja there. I wonder if we've got Honorable Odene back yet. There was a dropout in the audio. He's a former member himself of the House of Representatives, and that's why he's valuable, because actually I'm intending to sort of lean on his experience.
Hello?
Honorable Odene. Yes?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. While you were away, a call came in supporting your position that, look, he's happy for what the situation, the way it is, the way you explained. He almost said that, God forbid, that you should hand over money to any individual on account of the whole constituency project. But let me lean directly on your experience in the House when you were there in relation to what we're talking about. You know,
yeah.
You know, there's this whole...
Can I go ahead?
Well, okay, yes, please. If you had something to say, yes, please go ahead. What did you want to say, sir?
Yes. I was actually explaining the process for a network issue. And what I was explaining as a former member is that we only got involved in, we only get involved in a constituency project when we suggest those projects. And we also monitor.
Yes.
Ensure eventually executed. All the projects are usually executed because the funds, enough funds, Ministry of Agency, so done usually, and but sometimes that are not auctions or supplies. There are some that are trainings and all sort of things. The speaker that spoke before this last person may actually be correct. He didn't see, he's not seeing anything. Depending on the project we are talking, if it is training, if we are
okay, Honorable Odene, the audio has gotten a bit choppy, so let me use the time to take Reverend Dominic, who has called in from Alimosho, I believe. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning to your guest.
Indeed.
Yori, let me say it straightforward. I don't have any hope or trust from the National Assembly. If you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't have any hope that the National Assembly of Nigeria can make any difference. Since 1999 till up to date, it's in record. This parliament has only vetoed. This parliament has only vetoed one bill, Niger Delta bill, and that was 2003 or 4 during passenger time. There's no history that this people have said yes or no to the executive, which is positive. That's by the side. George said, talk about constituency allowance, constituency projects. You know, they are living our Alimosho here. And if there's anybody that could be visible at Alimosho, it's me. I've not found one road. I've not found one borehole. I've not found where they patch a road and call it constituency project. I've lived here for years. So if I have not found one, they have to, my representative here should point it out. Is it the road or water or borehole? That's by the way. You know, I want to sound this warning. I supported this government, just as I supported the last government. That our history in Nigeria is always strength. When Buhari came in 2015, there was national acceptance that he will change, make things happen. Our president has come now. Some of his policies is very good. But I'm afraid when he appoints ministers and appoints advisors and appoints everybody, would they have the same spirit? If anybody tells you today, Yori, that after Buhari left office, we'll be talking about the monumental corruption. If we died a few years ago, we wouldn't believe it in the land of the spirit. It's not about the head of state most of the time or president. It's about the lieutenants that work with him. And this so-called National Assembly, and so-called National Assembly, who will start parting. You go to any civil service office or servant office, the table they are using since 20 years ago. If you go to any civil service office, if you hear what I'm saying, these civil servants, the table they are using 20 years ago, as they are still using today. But if you go to budget, every year they are budgeting for that table. Every year they are budgeting for that table. And if you still go there, the same old table, the same old chair, but there's budget every year on that issue. Who is at fault? Is it the executive or the parliament? I don't believe in the parliament of Nigeria, but I think I have some hope in Mr. President. Finally, Yori, before everywhere in the world, you pay for utilities. Anywhere in the world, you pay for utilities. But Yori, you pay for a utility that's available. How do you want to increase tariff of power, which is not available?
Well, Reverend Dominic, thank you very much. You put quite a lot on the table there. So I'll come back to our guest, Honorable Kehinde Odeneye, former member of the House of Representatives, right after this break. Please stay with us.
In the month of June, the 4th of June 2023, makes it 27 years since the wife of the late MKO Abiola, Kudirat Abiola, was murdered. 5th of June is World Environment Day. On the 7th of June, the global community celebrates World Food Safety Day, while June 12 is Democracy Day in Nigeria. Also, June 12 is World Day Against Child Labor. 13th of June is a day set aside for International Albinism Awareness, while 14th of June is World Blood Donor Day. The 19th of June is set aside as International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict. It's also set aside as World Sickle Cell Day. 26th of June is International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. 30th of June is International Day of Parliamentarism. Brace yourself for the month of June and stay tuned to TVC News for special reports and analysis.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest is Honorable Kehinde Odeneye, former member of the House of Representatives, and we're looking at the task ahead of the 10th National Assembly. Although when we've started talking about this, it's been varying between the National Assembly and the Executive, where that's the very nature of the beast. these people have to work together. But thank you very much for staying with us, Honorable. Did you hear the contributions of, the last two callers, especially Reverend Dominic? Did you hear that? Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, yeah. Honorable Odene, would you like to respond to the last caller before we went on break, who actually was a bit, he said he's not happy yet. He hasn't seen anything worthy of a positive comment, and he generally has the impression that all other things being equal, from his point of view, very little is going to change. And that's what we're talking about this morning. The task before, that is the expectation people have put before the National Assembly. Would you like to comment one way or the other? Okay, I get the impression that we're not being heard yet. Honorable Odene has joined us remotely via Zoom. Could it be that...
YORI?
Yes, okay. Have you heard me? Could you go ahead?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so people who say that they've not seen very much going on, which is what Reverend Dominic has said in relation to constituency projects. In fact, he's feeling hard done by in terms of not getting a good deal, from the, from representatives, the people's representatives. Would you like to comment on that? Because you've been very positive. Yeah. Among other things, you said that, I can tell you one thing, forget this whole rubber stamp business kind of a thing. You are saying that that's not going to happen. But if you had heard the contribution of Reverend Dominic, and before him, Mr. George, who had called in from Lagos, they seem to need a bit more reassurance. Let me put it that way.
Uncle Yori, I share in their concerns. But if you listen to me carefully when I was responding, I said, yes, I want to agree that Nigerians are getting to be more aware of the activities of National Assembly, but they are not there yet.
Okay.
And they are not there yet because, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Yeah, they are not there yet because majority of the people that voted or are voting are not getting closer to their representatives to really know what precisely they are doing. So this is where the civil society organizations need to come into play. They need to engage both the society or the constituents and the National Assembly members that are representing them, so that they can know their activities. Again, let me say this: the budget of the federation is the budget for all Nigerians, including the constituency project. So what I expect Nigerians to do is to also have a look at that budget to know what is contained in there for their various constituencies and take on the member representing their constituencies on this. Thereby letting them know that, yes, this is what we have in our budget for my constituency. What have you done, or what have you brought? There's a need for this closeness. There's a need for this closeness between the representatives and the people. And we can't get this closeness unless and until the member of the constituency, of the various constituencies, take it upon themselves to know the activities and also calling their representatives to come and give them feedbacks. You see, where you leave your representatives alone to be doing what he wants to do, definitely you won't know what he's doing. But do not forget that you voted for him. You have that right to call him to come and give you feedback of his activities in the National Assembly. And I'm very sure that as a former member, our representatives are ready to let the society and the constituency they represent to know what they are doing.
Okay.
I have said it before, this 10th Assembly would never be a rubber stamp. Let me say this again.
One moment, Honorable. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. One moment, please. Honorable Subaya has called in and wants to contribute to the program. Good morning to you, Alhaji Subaya. Did I get that right?
Yes. You got it. You got it.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning.
And the Honorable.
Yes.
Yes. You see, my concern, about this situation now is this. Of recent, you understand, Mr. Yori, the President Bola Tinubu, appealed to Nigeria to endure, a little bit because of the subsidy. You see, my concern is this. The feeling of Nigerians is that they believe the National Assembly and the rest, all of them, they're only after themselves, welfare of themselves. But this is the time Nigeria expects the kind of appeal President Tinubu appealed to Nigeria to endure with the issue of subsidy to cut across to National Assembly. You understand? Because their remuneration is being paid by Nigeria. So this is the time they themselves to sacrifice and, assist the president to do the needful. Mr. Yoni, you will agree with me. Nigeria is supposed not to belong to Nigeria, to country that is exporting, is importing, finishing product. Nigeria is supposed not to belong to that country. Nigeria, we have everything that, that takes in this our country. The issue of importing, finishing product, Nigeria is supposed not to belong to that class. And we had a lot of revolution, from the NMPC, people, cutting away our resources. So what I'm saying in a nutshell, of recent, they even told us that, by July 1, we are going to have increase in power, what is it called, rate.
Yes.
Yeah. So what?
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Alhaji Subaya. Let me wrap what you've said, and still, because there are still outstanding points by both George, who called in from Ikeja, and Dominic, who called in earlier, and now you have added yours. So let me just also add one or two things that I wanted to bring about to Honorable Odene himself. I want to lean now on your experience, because when we send you to the National Assembly, by which I mean voters, when voters send, they actually look at you as their representatives. Now, you know that there is a matter of, there's the national, there's a personal interest, there's also national interest. Take, for example, something that that gentleman just finished speaking about. From what we're reading, a newspaper article this morning, quite a number of papers are carrying it, this expected increase. In fact, it was titled, Households Under Pressure as New Electricity Tariff Takes Off on the 1st of July. And to sort of cut it short, we've been coming at the tariff rate, depending on whether it's the D or the E band, we've been coming from what? 54 naira, 62 naira, 67 naira, and now it is scheduled, if these figures can be depended upon, to somewhere around 88 naira per kilowatt hour for this sector to recover its cost. Now, what I wanted to ask you is that your constituents, they're ordinary Nigerians. They're not legislators, they're not chemists, they're not lawyers. They just want to live their life. And so they're sending you there to go and take care of their interests. Tell me about that. Were you sensitive to the interests of your constituents when you were there, which can sometimes, quote unquote, mess an honorable member or a distinguished senator up? If the masters, so to speak, the people who elected you are now saying, I'm not happy about this. How do you handle that? Because look at the situation we have on our hands now, where up to 88 naira per kilowatt for the sector to be able to recover costs. Now, that's in addition to whatever pressures your constituents are already, are enduring from the fuel. It doesn't put you in a very comfortable position to explain to them, does it? Yet, it's a job you have to do. How do you handle that?
Yes.
Do you cut them out entirely, or do you bite the bullet and go and try and explain to them that this is good for them, even if it is bitter medicine?
Yes. Uncle Yori, from experience, I think the best way to handle this is having a continuous interactive session with your constituents at all times. Because not everybody watch what is going on the floor of the House. Not everybody sees the budget. Not everybody also listens to news. So in that case, what it simply means is that if you want to carry your constituents along, or your senatorial district, if you want to carry them along, what you need to do as an honorable member or a senator is to ensure that you have this constant interactive session with them. It's going to go a long way to help. I did it when I was there, and it really helped. And how does it help? You know, you engage them to know what they want so that you can know what to say on the floor of the House. You also engage them to let them know what the activities of the National Assembly are and the responsibilities, and also the things that are going on in government, basically. Because a lot of people don't understand, they don't even get to hear, they don't even get to see. So as an honorable member of the House or a senator, if you have constant engagement, town hall meetings, you know, if you have with them, in collaboration with your various civil society organizations around you there, your constituents will get to know better what is going on. And you will also be able to explain to them what the government and the legislators are doing to alleviate the sufferings of the people. So this will increase their confidence in you, and they will get to know better what is actually going on, you know, in the society.
How about, Honorable, I beg your pardon, how about if your constituents or your senatorial district people, how about if they send you a message of dissent? You know what, our elected representative, our elected senator, we don't like it. We're telling you that you might be okay in Abuja, we are not okay here, so we want you to take back to them, you know, and also lobby as many like-minded people as possible that this thing is not comfortable for us. How does an honorable member handle those kind of situations?
These are feedbacks you get when you engage constantly with your constituents. And that was what I was explaining to you. There have been occasions where your constituents are not comfortable with some happenings in the country or even within their constituency. And when you engage with them very well, they bring this to your knowledge. And what you do is to go back to the National Assembly and also do the needful by also engaging your members, the other members of the National Assembly. There are issues that are peculiar to your constituency alone. There are also issues that are general, you know, that affect the entirety of the nation. So you engage you lobby your colleagues in the House or in the Senate to bring them to bear on these issues that are occurring, so that they will also be able to support you when you bring up motions in these situations.
Okay, one moment. I got to interject now, Honorable, because Mazi Okorafor, all the way over in Arochukwu, has been holding on. Good morning to you, Mazi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Honorable. You see, the task ahead our honorable members, both National Assembly and State House Assembly, they should try as much as possible. Let the dividends of democracy get to the grassroots. That is to say, they should try as much as possible. Their constituency, all the local government, each senator covers, you should have a liaison office with staff, with other relevant information material, so that when people come, they lodge their complaint, they have a form. So that at the end of the month, the honorable member will look at all those things and take it down, whether Abuja or State House or Assembly. It will help us. But the situation whereby when they have research like what they have now, many of them will stay at Abuja, some will just travel out of Nigeria. They won't even reach their constituency throughout this. It is not healthy. Because that is why you see, we see having problems. People continue complaining. At the end of the day, now they have seen that our primary, they are still insisting on saying it. Our primary school sectors from primary from 1 to 6, from just 1 to just 3, many of them are they are just down. Because over 70% of primary schools in Nigeria, they're on holidays because teachers have not been paid their salaries, and that is why. Can you imagine? Beginning of this term, very soon now they will go on holiday for the third time to come back maybe on September. The children at home, Now, how will they assess them? Every day we said the United Nations said over 20 million Nigerians are out of school. Now, today, it's around 43 to 45 million Nigerian children out of school. And we have honorable members. It is not a question of 10th Assembly. The 10th Assembly, we thank God, we congratulate all you, but you should do the needful. Let's have a sort of revolution from the grassroots to move up, because they should try as much as possible. All these juicy agencies or juicy committees, at least balance the equation. Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, balance, no matter your religion, let them balance the equation. At least it will go around everybody. And they know that we have opposition party. Let the opposition party also be part and parcel of the committees, the juicy. Not when you go and dump somebody in a committee that they just, you don't look, it's not headed. The question should do what? Balance, because equity and fairness. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mazio Okorafor, and sorry for keeping you waiting a bit. Honorable Odene, you heard it there. By the way, that particular viewer, Mazio Okorafor, rarely does he call in and doesn't speak about education at the primary level and, the fate of our youths and that kind of a thing. So if he were one of your constituents, for example, you would sort of have come to understand that this particular guy, he's going to want to know a progress report on certain. You come to know your constituents, I imagine, But there's also the allegation in there that you might not be so, that these honored gentlemen and distinguished gentlemen don't pay as much attention to them once they've gotten the ticket and in place. In fact, people then get snide and begin to say that, well, once they began to enjoy the princely ransom that they call salary and entitlement, they don't worry about us anymore, and they're so concerned with protecting that they don't want to say anything that either would annoy the Senate president, annoy the speaker, who by extension, it might go up to the president. So I made the point earlier about there are personal aspects to this, and there are national aspects to the conduct of a parliamentarian. And it looks like what Nigerians are yearning for is that put Nigeria first. Put Nigeria first, better than has been done in the past. And this is where you probably, were you indicating that you feel very sure that this indeed will be the case in President Tinubu's administration?
Yes, Uncle Yori, I am very happy with the various comments that we have received so far. It shows one thing, that, as I said earlier, Nigerians are now very much aware. They are ready to know what exactly is going on in governance. The last speaker actually spoke very well, most especially in respect of honorable members and senators having their offices open to everybody in the constituency. That is very good. And this is what I believe a lot of members have been doing. I did it. I have hired my constituency office opened, and I have staff working there then, where people go there, submit their requests and everything. And at every point in time, I go back home, I get to this office, open this request, and bring some back to National Assembly. Those that I need to attend to, personally, I do that. Let me say this. The National Assembly members, I believe this time around, will work very effectively with the president. And again, I also want to say that whatever sacrifices they will make or they will need to make, I believe in the abilities of the leadership of the National Assembly as far as it is concerned now. Mm-hmm. And I believe that they are going to do, very well. Look at the speaker is an educationist. He's an educationist, and who takes education with very, very good intentions. And the Senate president too has been in the executive position before, now in the legislature. So it's going to be a combination of experiences, which I think will be for the betterment of Nigeria.
Okay, let me quickly. I beg your pardon, sir. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, sir. I must squeeze in Chidi, who has called in from Kapanchan. Good morning, Mr. Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. This morning.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Yes, good morning also to your guests.
Yes. Please go ahead.
I want to thank God so very immensely because of the successful inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. Having done that, it is expected that they should work synergically with the executives in order to ensure that a progressive governance is imputed to the Nigerian people at all levels. When we look around, we can understand that things are not easy for every Tom, Dick, and Harry of Nigeria. But from any proactive legislation and effective synergy with the executives, when these laws are made, the executives will be able to implement them to the letter, ensuring the well-being of the Nigerian people.
Okay.
I still want to believe that governance is not a tea party. Therefore, every proactive medium that needs to be implemented must have to be implemented.
Okay, we've got to leave it there. I beg your pardon, Chidi. Thank you very much for calling in. Honorable Kehinde, we've just about run out of time, but you probably would want to, comment on, what Chidi just said there. That governance is not a tea party. It can be hard, but it's doable.
Yes, it is very correct. Mr. Chidi was very correct with that statement. And let me say this, that the National Assembly will work hand in hand with the President to ensure that adequate and full dividend of democracy is delivered to Nigerians. Again, I want to employ the National Assembly members to ensure that they help the games as far as oversight functions are concerned. Somebody said earlier that you don't get to hear about reports and those sort of things. The National Assembly has really been doing a lot in respect of oversight, but I want to just employ the 10th Assembly to help the game as far as oversight is concerned. As much as the President is ready to work, the National Assembly members must also be ready to work and ensure that all wastages are reduced and cut, and ensure also that leakages of revenue are also brought to the minimum.
We're going to have to leave it there, Honorable. I beg your pardon. You know the strictures of TV production. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. And indeed, to also express our appreciation to our viewers that called in as well, to make it as interesting as it was, and also put some of those issues out there of what Nigerians expect of the 10th Senate. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am YORI FOLARIN. Bye-bye for now.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees, and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip, and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment